before you close your eyes tonight, let me take you somewhere far away. Not with movement, but with words. Not with light, but with quiet. This is more than just a bedtime story. It's a soft journey into the heart of the cosmos, where stars breathe and space stretches like a slow exhale. If your mind is restless, if your thoughts feel too loud, let this story hold you. Let it slow you down, one breath at a time. So get comfortable. Feel the weight of the blankets. Feel the stillness around you. And let the universe speak in whispers. You float in the quiet between galaxies, where the dark is not empty, but alive with a slow, unseen breath. The universe exhales, not with sound, but with space itself stretching, pulling the stars apart like ink dissolving in water. You cannot feel it, this gentle force, but it is there. A whisper in the dark, an invisible hand guiding the dance of galaxies as they drift farther and farther from one another. Scientists call it dark energy, a name for something they do not yet understand, a mystery woven into the fabric of the cosmos. It is not wind, not fire, not anything you can touch. It is the hush between words, the pause between heartbeats. It is the reason the night sky grows ever more vast, the reason distant galaxies fade like embers cooling in the dark. Imagine standing on a shore where the tide never returns. The waves pull back, and the water keeps receding, leaving only wet sand and then dry, then emptiness where the sea once was. This is what the universe does, not with water, but with light, with space itself. The galaxies are boats on that retreating tide, carried away from one another by an unseen current. Yet, there is no fear in this expansion, no violence. It is slow, patient, inevitable. If you could watch for 1 billion years, you would see the constellations unravel, their shapes softening like chalk drawings in the rain. The stars, you know, the ones that guide sailors and storytellers, will one day be too faint to see, their light stretched thin, their colors faded to whispers. But tonight they are still here. And as you drift in thought, you wonder, if the universe breathes out, will it one day breathe in? Will the tide turn, the galaxies drawn back together in some distant age, or will the dark energy keep pushing, keep stretching, until even the memory of closeness is lost? You lie still, wrapped in the quiet of night, but beyond your window, something vast is stirring. The universe is stretching, not with sound or fury, but with a patient, invisible insistence. Galaxies drift apart like boats on a dark tide, their starlight thinning as the space between them grows. You cannot see the hand that pushes them, but you feel its presence in the slow sigh of the cosmos. Scientists call it dark energy, though it is neither dark nor energy as we know it. It is more like a whisper woven into the fabric of space itself, a gentle pressure against the edges of everything. Imagine standing in a room where the walls begin to move, not suddenly, but so slowly you only notice when the ceiling has already grown distant. That is what the universe does, moment by moment, century by century. The space between stars widens, not because they travel, but because the stage beneath them expands. And you, yes, you are part of this unfolding. Your body, built from atoms forged in the hearts of ancient stars, carries the same restlessness as the galaxies. The calcium in your bones, the iron in your blood, once rode the shockwaves of supernova. Now, those same elements hum with the quiet tension of expansion. You do not feel it, not in the way you feel wind or warmth, but it is there, a faint tug in the spaces between your cells, as if the universe is breathing out. Where does it lead, this endless stretching? Science offers no final answer, only clues scattered like breadcrumbs across the dark. Some say the universe will grow thin and cold, its light stretched into silence. Others imagine a great reversal, a contraction, a return. But tonight, let the mystery linger. There is beauty in not knowing, in letting the question hover like a star just beyond reach. As you close your eyes, picture the galaxies receding, their light softening into the distance. And know this, the same force that guides them also cradles you, an unseen hand, patient and perpetual. Tomorrow, we'll trace the path of those wandering stars and ask what stories their light carries across the ages. You are floating, not in water, not in air, but in the deep, velvet silence between stars. Around you, unseen hands pull in opposite directions. One is familiar, patient, the steady weight that keeps your feet on the ground. Gravity. The other is stranger, a whisper in the dark, an invisible breath pushing everything apart. Dark energy. Picture the universe as a great loom, its threads woven tight in the beginning. Gravity works like a careful weaver, gathering clusters of galaxies into shimmering knots, spinning stars into being. But dark energy is the quiet force tugging at the fabric, stretching it thinner, loosening the weave. You are suspended in this dance, a slow, cosmic tug-of-war that has lasted billions of years. Think of gravity as an old friend, the force that taught the planets to circle the sun, that taught your heart to beat in rhythm. It is the reason rivers carve canyons, why mountains bow eventually to time. It is the embrace that keeps you from drifting into the void. But dark energy is the counterweight, the mystery that makes the universe restless. It is the reason the night sky grows darker with time, as galaxies slip farther from one another, their light stretching into faint, red whispers. Scientists measure this tension in the trembling of distant stars, in the way light bends around invisible masses. They call it the Hubble tension, a polite term for a quiet revolution, the realization that the universe is not just expanding, but accelerating. Like a sigh that never ends, space itself stretches, thinning the bonds between all things. Yet here you are, held gently in the balance. The same force that pulls an apple to the earth also keeps the Milky Way from flying apart. The same energy that pushes galaxies away also hums in the empty spaces between your atoms. You are made of this tension, the same elements forged in stars, the same ancient forces shaping your breath, your pulse, the quiet expansion of your thoughts before sleep. And so you drift, cradled between attraction and flight, between the known and the unknowable. The universe does not hurry. It has all the time in the world to decide. Will gravity finally gather everything back into a single point, a cosmic homecoming? Or will dark energy win, scattering all things into endless, solitary dark? For now, the question lingers, unanswered. And as you close your eyes, the stars continue their slow retreat, their light a fading lullaby, leaving you to wonder what other invisible forces might be stirring in the depths of the night. You lie still, wrapped in the quiet of the night, and above you, the stars breathe. Their light is ancient, older than the ground beneath you, older than the first whispers of wind. It has traveled so far to reach you, crossing distances so vast they bend the mind. And yet, here it is, a delicate touch against your eyes, a story written in photons. But the universe is stretching. The dark between the stars grows wider, like a slow exhale that never ends. The light from those distant suns is pulled thin, its colors fading toward red, as if the night itself is sighing them away. One day, their glow will stretch beyond sight, beyond memory. The sky will forget them. You imagine it, the last flicker of a star that no one will ever see again. Its light, once fierce and bright, now softened to a whisper, then to nothing, a story lost in the dark. Yet even as the universe expands, as the distances grow and the glow fades, something remains. The light that reaches you tonight is a gift, a message from a time before time, a voice that says, Taurankin, I was here, Taurankin. And for this moment, you are the one who listens. The night deepens. The stars drift farther apart, but somewhere in the quiet between breaths, you wonder, if light can stretch, can memory stretch too? Can the stories we carry, of stars, of lives, of love, linger just a little longer, even as the dark grows? The question lingers, soft as starlight on skin, as you turn your gaze toward the next mystery waiting in the hush of the cosmos. You lie still, wrapped in the quiet of night, and for a moment the world feels weightless. The air around you is empty, or so it seems. But emptiness is an illusion. Even in the deepest void, where no stars shine and no wind stirs, there is a presence, a whisper, a hum so faint it slips beneath the edges of your senses. This is the weight of nothing. Scientists call it Taurankin dark energy Taurankin, a name that sounds like a riddle. It is not light, not matter, not anything you can touch or see. And yet, it is everywhere, filling the spaces between galaxies, stretching the fabric of the universe itself. Imagine standing at the shore of an endless ocean, watching the tide pull away. The water recedes, but something unseen is pushing it, gently, insistently. That is dark energy, an invisible hand, coaxing the cosmos to expand. You might ask, Taurankin, how can nothing have power, Taurankin? Think of the air in a room. You do not feel its weight, but it is there, pressing against your skin with a force you've learned to ignore. Now imagine that pressure multiplied, not by thousands, but by the unfathomable scale of the universe. Dark energy is like that, a quiet pressure in the emptiness, so subtle it escapes notice, yet so vast it shapes the fate of everything. Scientists first glimpsed its presence by watching distant stars. They expected the universe's expansion to slow, like a ball tossed upward, gradually yielding to gravity's pull. But the opposite was true. The universe was speeding up, as if some unseen force were nudging it apart. The discovery unsettled them. It was like hearing a note no instrument had played, or feeling a breeze in a sealed room. You cannot hold dark energy in your hands. You cannot measure it in breaths or heartbeats. But you can feel its echo in the way the night sky stretches above you, limitless, restless, humming, with the quiet tension of absence. And so, as you drift toward sleep, let your thoughts soften at the edges. The weight of nothing surrounds you, cradles you, tugs the universe wider with every passing second. It is a mystery you need not solve tonight, but tomorrow, when you wake, you might wonder. Taurankin, if empty space is not empty, what else is hiding just beyond your senses? Taurankin. You are floating in the dark, weightless, cradled by silence. Above you, two galaxies spin in slow motion, their spirals brushing against one another like fingertips grazing in a final, tender touch. They are saying goodbye. This is how the universe loves, not with fire or fury, but with gravity's quiet pull, a force so patient it bends time itself. Once, these galaxies were closer, their stars mingling in a shared glow. Now they are drifting apart, their light stretching into long, wistful trails. You watch as their edges blur, their shapes softening into the dark. Scientists call this a galactic collision, but that word feels too harsh. There is no crash here, no violent end, only a dance that lasts billions of years. Stars pass through one another like ghosts, their paths bending but never breaking. Gravity weaves them into new patterns, rearranging their light into delicate bridges, as if trying to stitch them back together. And yet the universe is expanding. The space between galaxies grows wider, colder. One day, these spirals will be so far apart that their light will never meet again. You wonder, is this how all things part? Not with a snap, but with a slow unraveling, a gentle untangling of threads that once held tight. You think of the way trees release their leaves in autumn, not with reluctance, but with a kind of surrender. The universe, too, seems to know when to let go. But here, in this moment, the galaxies are still close enough to share their light. Their embrace lingers, a farewell written in stardust, and as you drift deeper into the dark, you feel the quiet question forming in the space between stars. The night sky stretches above you, vast and patient. It does not hurry, does not demand, it simply is. An unbroken expanse where light travels for lifetimes just to reach your eyes. You lie beneath it, small and quiet, and for a moment, the distance between you and those distant suns feels like a breath held too long. Stars are not fixed. They drift, slow and inevitable, like dandelion seeds on a wind you cannot feel. The universe expands, not with a sound, but with a silence so deep it hums in the bones of galaxies. Space itself grows, stretching the fabric between stars, thinning the light until even the brightest fade into a darkness that does not end. You might imagine it as a great, slow tide, an ocean where every wave carries islands farther apart. Once, long before the first eyes opened on Earth, those stars were closer. Their light arrived brighter, quicker, as if the universe were younger, eager to be seen. Now they retreat. The space between them widens like a yawn, like the slow unfurling of a thought not yet finished. Scientists call this cosmic expansion, but the words feel too small for what it truly is. It is not an explosion, not a scattering. It is space itself breathing outward, a sigh that has lasted 13 billion years. And one day, so far from now that time loses meaning, the last stars will vanish over the horizon of visibility. Their light will never reach us again. The sky will grow quiet, and the dark will deepen, not out of malice, but because the universe has stretched itself thin. Yet even then, even in that distant twilight, something remains. Not light, not heat, but the faintest whisper of what once was. The afterglow of creation, the echo of a beginning that never quite ends. You are here now, in the brief and shining moment when the stars are still close enough to be seen. When you look up, you are not just seeing light, you are catching a glimpse of a story still being written. And so you wonder, as the night cradles you, if the stars are moving away, what will be left to guide us? You drift through the dark, not as a traveler, but as something quieter, a witness, a breath held in the hush between stars. Around you, space stretches, not empty, but alive with an invisible thrum. It is the pulse of the void, the slow, unfelt heartbeat of dark energy. Scientists call it that dark, not because it is evil, but because it does not shine, does not touch light, does not answer to anything but its own quiet law. It is the unseen hand that pushes the universe apart, gently, relentlessly, like a parent smoothing a blanket over a sleeping child. You cannot feel it, but it is there, steady as a metronome in the deep. Imagine standing at the edge of an endless ocean at night. The waves roll in, not with sound, but with space itself, each crest carrying galaxies farther from one another, each trough a breath before the next expansion. Dark energy is the tide, and it has been rising for billions of years. You might wonder, how long has this rhythm been counting down? The answer is written in the oldest light, the cosmic microwave background, a whisper from the infancy of the universe. There, scientists trace the fingerprints of dark energy, its presence faint but undeniable, like the impression of a hand left in cooled ash. It does not hurry. It does not slow. It is patient in a way that dwarfs human time, stretching its influence across distances so vast they defy comprehension. If you could listen closely, if you could press your ear to the fabric of spacetime, you might hear it, a single, endless note humming beneath everything. But the universe keeps its secrets well. For all our searching, dark energy remains a riddle, a quiet farce that refuses to explain itself. It does not need to. It simply is, as fundamental as gravity, as mysterious as the first moment of existence. And so you float, suspended in the dark, wondering, if the universe is expanding, where does it go? What lies beyond the edges of the known? The question. You are lying beneath a sky that has forgotten how to be silent. Above you, the stars hum their ancient songs, each one a word in a story still being written. Their light is old, older than the ground beneath you, older than the hands you press into the earth to steady yourself. By the time it reaches your eyes, some of those stars have already vanished, their final chapters whispered into darkness. Yet here you are, still reading their afterglow. The universe is not a book with a spine, not a tale bound neatly between covers. It is a letter written in disappearing ink, sentences dissolving even as they form. Every galaxy, every atom, is a word in flux, shifting, rearranging, leaving gaps where meaning might one day settle. You, too, are part of this unfolding. Your breath, your thoughts, the quiet pulse of your heart, all of it is a phrase in a story with no last page. Scientists call it entropy, the slow unraveling of order into chaos, the way heat scatters, the way time smooths mountains into sand. But there is another way to see it. The universe is not falling apart. It is making space. The gaps between stars, the silence between heartbeats, the pause before a question, these are not emptiness. They are invitations. Think of a tree in winter, its branches bare against the sky. It looks unfinished, as though it has forgotten how to be alive. But beneath the bark, in the quiet dark, cells are dividing, waiting for the right light, the right warmth. The tree is not dead. It is gathering the words for its next chapter. You are like that, too. Every doubt, every unanswered question, every longing you cannot quite name, these are not failures of the story. They are the margins where new meaning can grow. And so you lie there, listening to the stars, to the spaces between them. The night stretches on, endless and patient. Somewhere beyond the curve of the world, a new sentence is being written. You cannot hear it yet, but you can feel it. You stand at the threshold of the unknown, where the known universe ends and something else begins. Something vast, invisible, and restless. It is called dark energy, though it is neither dark nor energy in any way you might recognize. It is a whisper in the equations of physicists, a faint tremor in the stretching fabric of space itself. You cannot see it, cannot touch it, yet it is everywhere, humming between the stars, pushing galaxies apart like leaves on an unseen river. Imagine, for a moment, that the universe is a loaf of bread baking in an oven. The dough rises, stretching outward in all directions. The raisins embedded in it, each one a galaxy, drift apart, not because they move, but because the space between them grows. Now imagine the oven grows hotter, the dough swelling faster and faster, as if some unseen hand has turned up the flame. That is dark energy, the mysterious force accelerating the expansion of everything. Scientists first glimpsed its shadow in the late 1990s, when they measured distant supernova, exploding stars, and found them fainter than expected. The light had traveled farther than it should have, as if space itself had stretched more than anyone predicted. The discovery was like hearing an unfamiliar note in a familiar song, a dissonance that hinted at something missing from the score. You might wonder, how do we chase something we cannot see? The answer is written in light. Astronomers trace the paths of galaxies, map the cosmic microwave background, the afterglow of the Big Bang, and measure the way clusters of galaxies bend space like lenses. Each observation is a breadcrumb leading back to the same question: what is this force that defies gravity's pull? Some theories whisper of a cosmic field, an energy woven into the vacuum of space itself. Others suggest that Einstein's equations, the very rules of gravity, may need rewriting at the largest scales. But for now, dark energy remains a silhouette, a shape outlined by absence. It is the quiet thrill of a mystery unsolved, the humbling reminder that the universe still holds secrets too vast for our grasp. And so you stand at the edge of knowing, peering into the dark. The galaxies recede, their light stretching into redder, longer waves, as if the universe itself is sighing. You wonder, if space is growing faster than light can cross it, will there come a day when the stars vanish from our skies, their light no longer able to reach us? Will the cosmos one day forget itself? But for now, the mystery remains, patient and endless. The night is not an ending, but a slow exhale, a breath the universe has been holding since the dawn of time. You lie there, wrapped in the quiet, and for a moment, you can almost feel it, the gentle, invisible hand of dark energy, coaxing the galaxies apart. It does not rush. It does not force. It simply unfolds, like the petals of a flower too vast to see, too patient to notice. Stars, too, know this languid surrender. They burn for billions of years, their light a steady hum against the dark, until even they grow weary. In their final moments, they do not explode so much as sigh, collapsing inward, folding into themselves like a child curling into sleep. Some become whispers, neutron stars spinning slow lullabies into the void. Others vanish entirely, leaving only gravity's imprint, a memory woven into the fabric of space. You might wonder, does the universe dream? There is evidence in the way galaxies drift, in the way clusters of matter cling to one another like drowsy thoughts. The cosmic web, that vast network of light and gas, trembles with the faintest vibrations, echoes of collisions long past, ripples of energy still traveling, still humming. It is a lullaby written in the oldest language, one you do not need to understand to feel. And what of the planets? They, too, are winding down. Earth's rotation slows by the barest fraction each century, as if the world itself is settling deeper into its orbit, into the cradle of night. The moon pulls at the tides, and the tides pull back, a slow, eternal dance of give and take. Even the rocks beneath you cool by imperceptible degrees, their heat seeping into space, a warmth relinquished without protest. You close your eyes. The darkness behind your lids is not so different from the darkness between the stars. Both are alive with unseen motion, with potential. The atoms in your body were once part of that same cosmic drift, that same patient expansion. You are made of the long good night, of the quiet that comes before and after and between. And as you hover there between waking and sleep, you might almost hear it, the faint, distant pulse of something older than light, something that knows no hurry. It is the sound of space itself. You stand at the edge of time, where the last embers of the cosmos glow faintly in the endless dark. The stars, once countless, have burned through their fuel, one by one, like candles guttering in a quiet room. The universe, once bright and humming, has grown still. The darkness is not empty, it is full of absence, a vastness so complete it feels almost like a presence. You imagine the last star, a red dwarf clinging to its warmth longer than all the others, finally exhaling its light into the void. Its final flicker is not a dramatic burst, but a slow dimming, like a sigh dissolving into silence. And then nothing. No more light to cast shadows, no more heat to stir the air. Only the cold, patient dark, stretching on and on. But even here, at the end of everything, there is motion. The universe is still expanding, carrying the remnants of galaxies farther apart, like leaves drifting on an unfathomably vast river. The space between them grows, not with haste, but with the inevitability of breath. You wonder, if you could follow that expansion, if you could ride the very edge of it, where would it take you? Scientists call this the heat death of the universe, a time when all energy is spent, when even atoms have slowed to a near stop. But the word death feels too final, too small for what is really happening. This is not an ending, not in the way we think of endings. It is a transformation, a quiet surrender to a different kind of existence. The universe is not dying, it is becoming something else. And so you stand there at the final horizon, watching the last traces of light fade. You feel no fear, only a deep, wordless curiosity. Because even in the dark, there are questions. What lies beyond the edge of expansion? Is there another side to this vanishing, a place where the story begins again? The silence around you, and now the stars have said all they needed to say. The universe continues its quiet stretch. But you don't need to follow it any further tonight. Let your thoughts settle, like stardust floating down in the dark. You are safe. You are still, and sleep is already on its way. Good night, and let the silence carry you home.